Yeah. Your name?
Jay Vest.
Okay.
And my question is, when you try these types of cases, how difficult is it to reduce all this medical knowledge into terms that a jury can understand, or even into terms that I guess you can understand if you didn't have that type of background?
Okay, very good question. I do a seminar on this, and so I'll try to be brief, but the desire is for me to pull up a PowerPoint right now and show you some things. It is challenging, it's fun, and it is difficult, but it's not as difficult as you might think if you do the research. There's a whole field of research in communication theory and communication practice. And there are different elements of communicating that are based on how the brain works. And in the 1990s especially, medicine made some huge advances here, neurology did, because of functional MRIs that they would do of the brain to show what parts of the brain work and how they work, where short-term memory is, where long-term memory is, how do you move it. And here are some things we know. We know that most human brains do not learn abstract or linear thought simply by hearing it. Don't learn abstract or linear thought simply by hearing it. The hookup from the hearing to the brain doesn't process it. So if you're going to learn something abstract or linear, you need to see it to learn it. Or it needs to be something that's already in your brain you can just hook onto. So for example, none of you, though all of you I'm sure at one point in your life knew the quadratic formula and knew how to work a quadratic equation. I dare say none of you ever learned it by a teacher merely talking about it. You had a book, you had a chalkboard, you had it written. Nobody learns complex algebra simply by discussing it. I'll bet you didn't even learn your multiplication tables by discussing it. You probably had flashcards or something like that. The reason the Industrial Revolution didn't take place for 1,000 years of the Dark Ages is because literacy was not there. And you can't do the scientific thinking for the Industrial Revolution without the brain being able to process abstract and linear thoughts. You can't keep up with time events without a timeline very well, linearly. So if you understand different aspects of how the brain works like that, then you try to put together models. One of the reasons I'm convinced we won one of the Vioxx cases is because Merck stood up there and their basic argument was something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an issue of homeostasis within the bloodstream, and you will find that there's an issue of thromboxane and prostacyclin, which are enzymal reactions that happen within the endothelial lining of certain arterial vessels. And it's our position that, okay, I'm sitting there thinking, I got news for you. They don't have a clue what you just said. So what we did is we got out some scales. We got ping pong balls. Some were pink and some were green. We put a label in front of the pink one that said P, prostacyclin, stops clots. T, thromboxane, makes clots. And we put the same number of ping pong balls in both. And explained in your bloodstream you have an ability to make prostacyclin and stop clots, an ability to make thromboxane and make clots. The problem with Vioxx is it leaves all the thromboxane but scoops out over half of the clot dissolver. So you're a walking time bomb. Older drugs, aspirin, Advil, they remove from both sides of the scales basically evenly. So Vioxx increases your risk of a blood clot in the heart, which is a heart attack. See, you do it in a way like that, it's a visual that people can understand. And some of the jurors were interviewed after that case, the first case, and they said when the Merck lawyers were talking, it sounded like the adults in the Peanuts cartoons. Because it didn't make sense to them. So if you learn those things, it's a whole lot. It's still challenging, but it's a gas to do it, and it's very achievable. Yes, sir.
Hi. Leaving aside whether you get reversed on any individual case on the facts or on the legal merits, are you concerned about the political consequences of the awards, the size of the awards you seek, and the tactics you're using at trial?
It's a two-edged sword. If Merck does not get in a position of being slapped around with pretty high dollars that may wind up sticking, then they're never going to come to the table and resolve all of these cases out there. It's cheaper for them not to. You weigh that against some press issue of them getting, the McDonald's cup of coffee, where a woman who's 80 some odd years old spills and gets millions and millions of dollars against McDonald's, has been trumpeted by the tort reformers around the country as the need for tort reform. Well, you get into the facts of that case, and actually, I think most people on the jury would do the same thing. And so it is an issue. It's an issue we're very sensitive to, but it's one where there's a yin and a yang. There's a Greek word thlipsis. You're being pulled in different directions on this, and it's a genuine concern, though. Yes, sir.
How selective are you in which cases you take, as far as making sure that you're not just taking cases just to get money for your client, as opposed to the ones that you think actually should be tried for whatever reason, whether it's social or whatever?
Very good question. We turn away 10, maybe 15 cases for every case we take. If the case is a good money maker, no real social redeeming value, but no social harm, simply cold, hard cash, we will typically make those because we require funds to be able to crusade and fight fights that we want to wave the banner on, our Don Quixote windmill joust. So we will take those cases. I don't want to sound like, oh, gee, I'm just out for the greater good, and that case will merely make me $1 million, but it really doesn't help me, and so you just go give that $1 million to another lawyer. No, I'll take it. Okay? There are some cases we take where we know we'll never make money, we'll lose money, but we take them because it's the right thing to do. There are cases that we've taken. We took a case where some women had taken a political stance in an issue and had gotten arrested, 4 women. 2 of the women who had been arrested were also under current counseling for sexual abuse issues when they were young. And the judge released all 4 on their recognizance, which means they didn't even have to post bail. The judge says, you're reputable people in the community. We know you'll come back. It was a protest that they were arrested in. The jailers, as the women were being processed out, made 2 of the women who've already been released on recognizance take off all of their clothes for a visual strip search and then a visual body cavity search where they're required to take their cheeks and spread them and bend over and all of this kind of stuff. Absolutely degrading, humiliating stuff, which for 2 of these women who'd been sexually molested as children compounded already difficult issues they had in their lives. Now, that's not a case where, we knew also a protest would be coming up. Okay? We took that to force the county to apologize and to change their policies and to pay for that woman's counseling. And we took it to trial until they agreed to settle midway through trial because we never took a dime. You don't take money for those kinds of cases. They don't make money. But those are the kinds of cases you take because it's right. And hopefully it all works out in the wash. Some cases we have refrained from taking because I don't like the social statement that it makes. And that's the beauty of working for your own firm. You're able to do that. I think we're out of time.
Yeah, we are officially out of time. I will say that, like the courtroom, Harvard Law School classroom is often depicted in television, and I think this was better than television. It was really, really terrific.
Thank you, John.
And I think we're very fortunate to have you today, and I hope it's some consolation to those Harvard Law students who didn't get into Texas Tech that you're at least able to hear this. This was terrific. Give us a lot to think about and I hope talk about. Thank you very much, Mark Lanier.
Thank you, John, for the chance. Thank you all.